Hi, this is Anna Drummond, and this is my helpee, John. Hi, John. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. What brings you in today?
Um, well, I don't understand what the big deal is about relationships like friendships and stuff. I understand what marriage entails and that closeness, but I don't see the point for friendships.
Okay, so you feel like friendships are pointless.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that something that bothers you?
No, I don't understand why people focus so much on it. Like, take for instance, my wife, she doesn't understand why I don't have friends or don't want friends. She's a very social person,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not. That's just who I am. I don't know if I ever used to be, but I'm not now. And I don't know how to explain myself to her. I don't really know what to say because she's bothered by it. I'm only bothered by the fact I can't explain it to her in a way that would make sense to a social butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
I could care less about having friends. Um, I mean, they're cool to have, but I don't go out and seek them out. You know, I don't thrive off the energy of others.
Okay, so you feel like friendships are pointless. You don't really see what the big deal is, but it doesn't really bother you personally, but it does bother your wife,
Mm-hmm.
which is why it's concerning to you. Okay.
Basically, yeah. Well, let's take for instance, like her friends. I enjoy her friends. I enjoy being in their company or being social with them. But like, say for instance, at work, I don't talk to nobody or try to get to know anybody. I mean, I'll talk to people and joke around, but I'm not trying to get to know them or be their brother or their friend, which isn't really good, I guess, because my goal ultimately is to be in the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so being a people person is kind of important for what my calling is.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times I find myself, I just don't care about people. And I don't want to sound like a megalomaniac or anything, but they just seem insignificant to me.
Okay, so you want to be a preacher, but you don't care about people and they're insignificant to you.
In a in an intrapersonal sense, yes. Where it's a one-on-one building a relationship thing, yes. Dealing with their problems, dealing with them in a systematic manner, I'm I don't really hold their feelings in too much of an account. I want to give them an answer to their problem, and if it's just a simple thing that they have to just get over, I really like to tell them to just get over themselves and get through the problem. I mean, there's things in my life I've experienced that a lot of people that share that same experience deal with it in a way that I find very weak. For instance, depression. I went through a severe depression, and I mean, I had the knife in my hand, ready to commit suicide. I knew where to cut, knew what to cut, and no one was there to stop me. I wasn't crying out for help. And the only thing that stopped me in my mind was the Holy Spirit. And it just all, I mean, kind of contradictory, but in my mind, all I heard was, wow, that's a chicken shit way to go out. And from that moment on, I went through it myself. I got out of it myself. The only person that was there to help me was God. That was it. No one else. And so when a lot of people talk about, oh, I'm going to commit suicide this, or oh, I'm so depressed that, and I listen to what they're really sad about, it makes me want to slap them in the head and be like, you have no idea what depression is. And if it did bite you, you wouldn't even be saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I've kind of become very cynical, kind of an know-it-all kind of person. But the bad thing is most of the time I am correct. So it kind of feeds my problem or my issue with not caring about relationships.
Okay, so you feel somewhat unmoved by others' situations or problems because you've seen the things that you have faced yourself, and comparatively, you see the way that they cope as weakness. And you also feel like in watching them that your theories are correct or what have you. And so you feel like, well, my point exactly. They're weak. This is why they're in that situation.
Yeah, I mean this is a very good way to sum it up. And yeah, I like the way you put that. Um, and it's sad, but it's true. I mean, there are a lot of times where they say that stereotypes sometimes fit the situation or the stereotype fulfilled, and more often than not, that it is the case. And I don't point it out to people because I'm not an asshole. I'm not a jerk, but um, in my mind, I'm like, man, why? It's just I don't understand why. I guess because I don't understand the essence of relationships, I don't understand why people are so weak when it comes to overcoming things. Because in my life, I've overcome everything on my own.
But do you feel like you associate overcoming something through relationships? Because as you said that, like you've coped with your own things and it was the prompting of the Holy Spirit that stopped you from committing suicide.
Mm-hmm.
But other than your relationship with God, you didn't mention any other relationship intervening. And do you feel possibly that, when you see other people reach out for help, it's seen as weakness because they're relying on a relationship with man rather than a higher power that you want to preach about?
I think so. I think because so many people reach out laterally instead of vertically or internally that it drives me crazy because the whole purpose of being human is to become more than what we are and what we're at. I mean, I don't know if you watch Star Trek or not, but that's the whole premise of being a Vulcan is becoming more than what you were born with, more than what you are.
Mm-hmm.
There's characters all over the place in shows like that where they try to become more than what they were programmed to be or more than what they were born to be. And that's our purpose in life. Religion aside, our purpose is to endeavor to become more than who we are. And so when people start reaching out and for lifelines instead of learning to swim, it drives me crazy because what they're trying to reach out for lifelines for, they don't need them. They can do it themselves if they just, you know, got some guts. And I guess maybe that's what it is to me is like there's just so many people that have no guts anymore. They have no internal fortitude. They just rely on everybody else. And when no one else is there, then you see all the drinking and all the stupidity that happens in life. And there are many times that I wish I had a rocket ship that I could just take off because I guess it just drives me crazy.
Okay, so let's recap here a little bit.
Yeah, kind of went all over the place.
It's fine. I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page. So you feel like relationships are pointless. You don't see the point in them because people seem weak in seeking out, identifying themselves through relationships to you. And relationships and how you feel about them doesn't really bother you, except for the fact that it bothers your wife because she can't understand past her social butterfly tendencies. So, but I also hear that you actually feel very passionate about people. You just don't feel passionate about the relationship with people. You
Hmm.
feel passionate about the message to people.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I suppose you're right. And I guess that's where my confusion comes in. Because most of the time, when you think about compassion or passion about people, you always think about relationship with people. And maybe that makes sense that I would be more concerned with just them individually, but not necessarily through a relationship. And now, don't get me wrong, I commend my wife for being able to be a social butterfly. I don't understand it. I mean, I have friends, and I gain new friends. In fact, I gained one recently, a whole group of them, really. Um, and I love them all. But it's strange to me sometimes in trying to establish that relationship because I'm so used to being like, what's up, and that'd be about it, And then
Mm-hmm.
if they come to me and ask me a question about myself, I might answer, or I might just brush them off a little bit and be like, oh, I'm good, everything's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for the most part though, you're right, and I'm passionate about people. I'm just not passionate about relationship with people, and it just yeah, that's a good way to put it. My wife or people like you that counsel people like me, I mean, you guys put up with a lot, and you guys, put out a lot of emotional effort, and most of the time it's rewarded. It's hard for me to cope and understand what that means.
I think, because you feel like relationships are associated with weakness and coping with one's problem, often people feed off of one another. Oh, we identify together with this issue, so that gives them a bond and there's a relationship. And sometimes people will identify themselves with that person and that relationship and the problem, and they'll stay in the problem to keep the relationship. And nobody really grows because all they are is just sitting in the pool of the issue,
Mm-hmm.
and I think from your outside looking in perspective, you feel kind of like, oh, come on, man, like, get it together, because you see the potential past the relationship.
Mm-hmm. I see the potential of the individual, and whenever I've taken a leadership position, which is a relationship with people, I've been very much logic based, very much in the moment, realistic. It is what it is, no emotional attachment. I know you, I like you, I'm going to push you until you want to hate me,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to see things done in your life. And on many occasions, people have hated me afterwards, but they were thankful for what happened, with what they went through. And I think with me, I come from a very logical place when it comes to people, and a lot of people don't have logic. Um, Common sense is kind of in my mind, is kind of a slowly drifting, uh, problem, or something that so many people strive to attain, even though it's right here in their face.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I mean, that's a whole nother session we could get into. But yeah, I think for me, I just come from such a unemotional place because I've never had the time, not the time, but I've never taken the time to build that kind of emotional base with people.
Mm-hmm.
That all I know, because all I've dealt with is myself, is logic. I can't be emotional with myself because then I'd be a real wreck. But yeah, I think the difference between logic and emotion, and that is kind of make that space between my relationship with people. So
Right. Okay. Well, sounds good. Unfortunately, we need to wrap it up a little bit. We've gone over our time for this week,
oh
but
right.
it's okay. Um, I enjoyed the conversation. Um, But again, you feel kind of like relationships, who needs them? And your perspective, and that's fine. I think part of that is because you want to see the potential and get people to understand that through their own relationship, through God, we have the ability to overcome things, and we don't need to be reliant on all of our best friends to get us through things. Yes, the support is great, but the relationship isn't what holds us together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really where you're at. So I would like to keep talking to you about this really and get an idea of like where your wife is at in this struggle as well next time. And I think that will really help in moving forward and how you perceive your relationships and how your newfound relationships start to grow.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Doc.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.